Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 194, the Jazz Hands episode, apparently. I hope everybody is doing very well today on this. The first day of peace is what I've been calling it internally. It is finally, we are over the hump. We are into everything is mostly in the open again. We can talk to our friends again. Oh, life is good. Life is glorious on this blessed day. There's a massive pile of Dark Angel on this shelf that you definitely haven't all been, has been right there the whole time for the past weeks that you guys never knew about. Secret, top secret.
Just top secret shelf.
Top secret shelf of like some Dark Angel shit I was painting. And then I kept showing off like the Tyranids I was painting because I'm like, they'll get tricked by that, knowing that no one was going to believe I was Tyranids because I'm not Eric. I'm Ellis. I'm joined by Nathan. I hope everybody's doing wonderful on this blessed Tuesday. It is episode 194. WTC lists when? Question mark, question mark, question mark. The answer to that, by the way, is Monday. You will get them all on Monday. The captains and teams have them now for checking, but they are officially live on Monday, which is after War Masters list submission, notably. So if you want to get your top secret tech in, you got to go buddy up to someone who knows. We're going to talk about stats. We're going to talk about the meta. We're going to talk about War Masters. I'm probably going to talk about Team Scotland's team comp. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Anthony, unfortunately, is going through a storm right now. He will be on next week, assuming that there is not a storm. Not if you call it a Jawa again, Martine. Like, that's just mean.
Got to do another super chat.
Thank you for setting the €2 on fire, but no, absolutely not. It has been a hectic period, but Nathan, start us off with the easy bit. How you doing, my friend?
I had a lovely weekend of no stress whatsoever. There was no list submission or anything I had to deal with. No randomly trying to shoot myself in the foot by YOLOing something random into the sky for WTC at list submission.
We only did that like 4 times, okay?
It's okay. It's okay. Instead, we had family kind of randomly show up and stay with us for the weekend, which was fine. But, you know, I played another Imperial Knights game, which was quite a good time. And then I'm going to try out Plague Legion with 50 Plague Bearers, I think, sometime next week.
Right. The list I played against the Dead was so much fun to play. Someone came over on the way back from the event and was like, "Can I borrow all of your Nurgle stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough."
I've not seen an Epidemius like in a list for serious reasons.
He came over and he was like, "Can I have my can I borrow your Rodigus and 10 Plague Bearers?" And I was like, "Yeah, do you also need Epidemius and Horticulus?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll just take all of it." Like,
yeah. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to bring to Ottawa is basically where I'm at. I'm playing a bit of Imperial Knights and a bit of Plague Legion.
Yeah, fair. I think of the two, you should definitely play Plague Legion. It's way more fun and it taken hold so well.
Yes, it does. And I have a lot more experience with demons, honestly, than I do with Imperial Knights because I've played them actually a fairly significant amount over the last 6 months.
That's fair.
So it'll probably end up being Plague Legion. Also, you know, we'll probably try out Blood Legion since everybody and their mother seems to be trying that one out.
We got you, John. When it comes to time, I'll talk about GSC because we have them in our team. So,
but yeah, Plague Legion is what it seems like it'll be for the foreseeable future. I'm going to get some more practice reps on it and decide if I want to play like 50 Plague Bearers or just like 30.
I liked 30. It felt like enough, but I would also like to fit Slime Mix into the list I played against. So I think that there's some things I'd tweak, but.
Yeah, I'll probably be asking for your advice a little bit more.
Yeah, we are the only tier 1 team that does not have demons, and it is definitely the one thing I'm not in love with about our comp because they are very good right now. But
they do seem really good, and Plague Legion seems really good in singles specifically because you don't have to drive differential. You just have to.
Oh yeah, it does just be scoring.
It just does be scoring.
I'm not these up on the shirts on the show yet. These are our shirts for this year. Aren't they cool?
They are cool. Is there anything on the back, or is it just?
It's got like nicknames and stuff on it, but no, most of that. And then we got our sponsors.
Those are great. Oh, we're on it again this year.
We're on it again. We're always on it. You know, I'm just like I'm stat check. I'm on it.
It's true. And it's just like we're sponsoring it. It's how
we got sponsored. We got sponsored by a whiskey brand this year. So we have bottles of whiskey to give to all the teams that we got from our sponsors, Cutty Sock. We also got sponsored by Pie Sports, who I think gave us pies. So.
But can you buy them online in this?
From Pie Sports? Presumably. I don't know.
No, I mean the Scotland jersey. because I just
Oh
want to
no
buy
no no
one from
no no
afar.
no! You gotta come and get a swap. You gotta work for
Fucking damn
these.
it, that's so far.
Oh, is my mic? Am I going to the wrong mic? I can change that.
It might be. You might want to check
Sorry,
it.
Logan.
Yes, there it goes. Oh, I thought it was just a little echoey, but now it seems to be working. Although now you seem to be gone, or I'm gone.
No, my internet went out for like
Ah,
for a microsecond, which is also really bad for Logan. Hopefully, if we just stay the whole time, it'll be okay.
just it'll be fine.
For the $2 for the €2.49. So God, let's just admit, good luck everyone. Cyprus, it'd be great if we could play you guys this year. It was super fun having you guys in pod because we always catch you guys at the bar and stuff like that. But we've not had a chance to play, and I think that'd be a good time.
But yeah, otherwise it's just prep for Ottawa, just demons, and now I get to feel a little bit of FOMO as I watch everybody head off to War Masters and then also to WTC in like a couple of weeks.
Fantastic. Well, on my end, oh baby, is it been a journey? First of all, I went and got a tattoo today just to feel something after WTC list submission because I had to. So I got this guy. I figured out a better way to show it than when I did it with Nathan.
That was I'm so impressed that it didn't take 5 more minutes of you contorting to fit it on your screen.
I got
I'm very proud of you. Are you gonna have a marker so you can like tab next to it how many times you've needed to trigger it for feel no pains or something?
Oh no, I'm definitely gonna have a running tally of how many times I've like cocked someone's grenade with it though. Grenade, no.
Perfect, amazing, incredible. You really are just a control player at heart, and it's Blood Moon or not, just a control player at heart.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. We got Blood Moon, we got a Watcher in the Dark, and we got Gene Stealer Cults. I like you not having fun.
What else have you been up to aside from
what else have I been up to?
Monstrous amounts of WTC
I
prep?
think I've played like 15 games of 40K in the last 10 days, plus
so
watching like 15 more, like 15, 20 more, just constantly. There's like, hey, what's going on? The Discord is just, our Discord has got like 40 people in it, and they're all just playing all the time. So you're just like, anytime we're doing it, you're just like, who's playing today? Oh, I could watch this game and that game and this game and that game. And you just get like all this information, and you get to watch like, oh, that rep is really interesting. Oh, that rep is really interesting. Oh, that guy's playing my list. Let's go and see what he's doing into, how he's playing into that thing. And oh, I wouldn't play it like that. Okay, why is that different? And then just like sitting and chatting with him about it afterwards, and then doing all the comp talk, all the pairings talk. We had like, what I would affectionately now after the fact resolve to calling solving the disruption problem. Because man, did that shit suck. We literally could not get a player to play to play disruption. Someone said Gate Warden in chat, and my brain immediately Gate Warden, lads. We couldn't find a list to play disruption. We were just like, nothing wants to play it. For a bit we had like our EC on it, and it just wasn't functioning. And then our EC came to us and like, hey, I can't be disruption. I need you to put me on another one. And we're like, well, shit. Both of our prio and recon slots are full, and that's all you can play other than this. So we had like a full comp shuffle. Our document in the like back end is called Innis loses his mind, I'm going to be sick, or something like that, which was where we were tracking all of our options. And we have on one of our days on Sunday, we had a call at 1 a.m. where we resolved the comp. And then we had another call at 11 a.m. where we re-resolved the comp. Then we had another call at 12 where we re-resolved the comp. So, and they're labeled as like morning actual, morning like post lunchtime call, then we have post lunchtime call, then we have the Monday blues call, and they're all different comps. And just like every single time it goes through, like 2 people switch, and then like one more army gets colored gray because like that one is locked, that one's staying, and we didn't lock in until Monday lunchtime. Which was our final. Like, obviously, in a grand scale, we had 10 days. We locked in 90% of the way before the deadline. Right, we had 10% of the time left, and we got to play like a couple of games of just like finalizing the last stuff. I think I was the last person to lock my list in. I was changing my chat package up until like a couple hours before the deadline, and was pretty happy with where we landed. But yeah, it's been some of my team have been like looking into buying neck braces. I think Struan was on different lists 6 times in 4 days, just because he was the player that had like the least attachment to his army. So every time that something changed, it was like, and that means that Struan is playing that now instead. So at one point he was on Space Marines, then he was on Montcar, then he was on then he was on aspect host disruption because we needed a disruption slot and something had to do it, and back and back and back and back and back and back and back. And then Scott was doing the same pivot back. Scott was just going back and forth between GSC and Custodes, GSC and Custodes, like depending on the day. And then Struan would go on whatever else was free based on the spot. And then like a couple of our players were tournaments. One of our guys was at a wedding. So getting like the team to sit down was actually quite challenging. But we got everything happy. We settled down. And I think I'm very happy with our comp. I like all the choices we made. I like where we're at. And I'm excited to get pairings tomorrow. Pod draw goes live tomorrow. I want to say it's 9 p.m. UK time on the Art of War channel. So we're gonna sit in our big Discord with everybody and watch everybody play, or watch everybody get the draw, and then we're gonna jump on and we're gonna sit and we're gonna get a look at everything and we're gonna get started on matrixing. And I'm so excited for that. It's gonna be a really good time. I'm very, very, very hyped to actually get into the meat and potatoes of playing WTC now, having been doing all of the ancillary stuff, building up to it, going to practice weekends, and now we get to just play.
And how long is it until War Masters at this point?
So I fly a week on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the 10th. War Masters is 11th, 12th, Top Cut on the 13th, and the event's 14th, 15th, 16th. So yeah. Okay. At time of recording, War Master starts 2 weeks today, but in the morning of. There is no reason for the similarity between our comp and the US comp. Do not look into that at all. Do not question that in any way, shape, or form.
So is the plan then for next week to just once pods are drawn to just have a
we're gonna try to do like week. We're gonna like do a practice game. We're gonna try to do like a practice game into the comp of our 8-man with like the rest of our academy and the people that we can get to join for that, and then just like do everything else. That's the kind of the base plan for the next week, and then just like make sure we don't stumble into our seed 2, make sure we understand all the lists, and then start interrogating the rest of the seed 1s, because we're hoping that we get to play against a bunch of them this year, because we usually, last year we only played against 2. We played against Netherlands in pod, and we played against Australia out of pod. But other than that, we mostly played against seed 2s, a couple of seed 3s, a couple of seed 4s. I think we played like a seed 4 in pod and a seed 4 out of pod, because Latvia did really well last year, and we played them in round 4, because we were one of the they came out like 2-1 in pods. We were like 1-1-1 or 2-0 and 1-0-2. So I think we were both on 4 points. So we played each other like they were the top top seed 4. We played them, and then we played into like a bunch of seed 2s and like a bunch of seed 2s for the rest of the event. And like this year we're hoping that if we can do a bit of a better run of it, we're going to play at least against 2 other seed 1s, which because it won't just be the one that we won't be prepping for in pods now, because as a seed 1 team for the first time ever. Took us 5 years, but we got to seed 1. So we'll be playing against a seed 2 and a seed 3 and a seed 4. So we're expecting, I'm going to say expecting in like the loosest terms, we are expecting to have a better pod than we have ever had. The best we've ever gotten is 4 points with 1 win, 2 draws. But we typically go 1-0-2 or 1-1-1. So this year we're hoping for at the very least 2-0-1 for 5 points. Which would get us on a really, really good head start towards the rest of the 4 rounds, being like if we can get 6 points out of 4 rounds, 2 wins, 2 draws, or 3 wins and a loss, or something like that, we'd feel really, really good about that spot. It's exciting. I'm very, very excited about it.
I'm excited to see what the pod draws will look like now, just to see who all everybody gets.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nasty. I'm looking forward to seeing who gets. So like if I go, I'm gonna do the first thing here. Let me change the way I'm streaming.
Also, we should do a fantasy league again this year. We should schedule a draft for that at some point.
We probably should, but I also always forget to do the results on those. So like, how useful is it to do it and then not do the results? Because I'm really bad about doing the results of them. So I'm going to shout out this website, because this website is fantastic and I love what it's doing. It's Concilium Artis Belli, and they pulled all the data from the spreadsheets and the data that we made and made this, which is super cool. So yeah, you can check out this out. I'll put a link to this in the stream description here. This is the link. If you want to go and have a dive of the information that is currently available for WTC, you can find it here. And this is basically an overview of the event as a whole. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So what we've got here is we've got all the seed 1 teams, then all the seed 2 teams, all the seed 3 teams, all the seed 4 teams. And the colors are obviously what disposition teams play, right? So you can see, Australia have reconnaissance, disruption, take and hold, disruption, priority assets, purge the foe, priority assets. Scotland have take and hold, reconnaissance, purge the foe, priority assets, take and hold, reconnaissance, priority assets, and disruption. So we have, so Australia have got double disruption, double take and hold, double prio. We have double prio, double reconnaissance, double taken hold, right? So you can kind of see that across all the seeds. You can also break it down. You can only look at each individual pool, blah, blah, blah. You can look at every team that has a specific faction. So these 7 teams have Asher Miltarum. They have it as these dispositions. It's also counted along the top here, right, of what everyone has, which is super cool. And if you are on the all factions, you can see 86 taken holds, 83 reconnaissance, 87 priority assets, all very popular. 92 would be the theoretical maximum. So that would be the most that you could have of any individual faction is 92, because that would be each of the 46 teams taking double up. So what we can kind of get from that is that 6 teams did not do double take and hold, 5 teams did not do double priority assets. I guess it could theoretically, I think that's just how it works, right? Because every team has a minimum of 46, and then there would be another 41 on top of that, right? Because every team must have 1 of each. So what you can see from that is that only 6 teams did double disruption, and only 12 teams did double powers the foe. And then if we
almost
look at
everybody doubling up on taken hold is quite a wild ride for everybody.
Yeah, well, if we go and have a look at pool 1, for example, right, to kind of be the one that we're like expecting to be the top dogs, we see that 20 of 22 taken holds are taken, 20 of 22 reconnaissances, all the priority assets. Every pool 1 seed double priority assets, which kind of tells us that we're kind of assuming that in a team's environment, priority assets is the strongest disposition. Disruption, only 2 teams doubled up on, and Persephone, only 2 teams doubled up on. Did any teams do double disruption and double priority assets or double purge? Austria
did
France
doubled up,
did double
France did
purges, and neither of them did double disruptions.
Australia and Canada doubled up on disruption.
Yeah, double disruptions are here and here. So yeah, no teams did double disruption and double purge. They are both very very reasonably unpopular. There's also some cool things in here, like you can have a look at forced by detachments, who did not have a choice, how many people like just played the only thing they had available. You can see a decent amount of it here. A lot of people are on forced prio slots in pool 1. If we look at pool 2, very similar, a lot of forced prio slots, right? A lot of teams that are just like, hey, these are our prio slots, these are determined. We are playing these armies to be prio armies, and they are very good at it. They do not have flexibility. And I think that that's kind of interesting, right? How many armies are getting pushed into that spot. As you go down to the lower pools, you still see, a decent amount of yellow. There are very few teams that don't have at least 1 or 2 people that are forced in, right? Like it's kind of very much the space, like their detachments force them. But most players had a choice, right? And were able to resolve their direction at least a little bit. Okay, then we have the overall metrics, which I'm going to zoom out a little bit for so we can see everything, which gives us the sort of overall faction breakdown. So we've got 36 Emperor's Children, 36 Orcs, 31 Chaos Demons, 30 Necrons, and so on and so forth down the line. You guys can obviously zoom in and see this, but top 5, Emperor's Children, Orcs, Chaos Demons, Necrons, Tau. Bottom 5, Death Watch, Space Wolves, Gene Cult, Blood Angels, and Chaos Knights. All 3 Chaos Knight armies played Reconnaissance. Looks like they are all Hound Pack Lance, which is kind of interesting. India, Pakistan has a really, really strong Chaos Knight player, as does Netherlands. I don't know Lithuania's, but yeah, this is Ratnu and Dick Vanderhurst, who are both very, very known Chaos Knight. I'm going to say one trick affectionate.
Faction specialists is what we.
Yeah, but I came from League. It's one trick. But then we can kind of look at some other stuff, right? So Emperor's Children, we have 5 taken holds with Elegant Brutes. We have 10 Frenzied Host and to give them their disposition light, 1 Mercurial Host, 9 Cory the Conceited, 1 Peerless Bladesman, 9 Carnival of X playing Disruption, 1 Spectacle Slaughter. Most of these Frenzied Hosts almost all of these are going to be paired with Carnival of Excess. Generally, if you're seeing a 2-pointer, right, these are paired with Carnival, these are paired with Carnival. This is obviously definitionally Carnival. So there's quite a lot of armies that are being, Emperor's Children's got quite a decent amount of diversity, but Emperor's Children has a really tough time playing Purge the Foe because only Slaanesh Chosen plays it. So you're very much like, well, one of the good slots, but we're seeing quite a lot of people use their weak slot of Disruption on it, right? I'm going to refer to Disruption and Purge the Foe as weak slots for the purposes of this, because they're the ones that are generally they're the ones that you're taking because your comp requires them, not because you specifically want them. Now, that doesn't mean that applies to every team, and I'm sure that there are some teams out there who think that Disruption is stronger or that Purge the Foe is stronger, but as a general trend, what we are seeing is that most teams are agreeing that those are the 2 that you are forced to take, not that you choose to take. So apologies to exactly Australia, who I'm sure thinks Disruption is the bee's knees, because I'm going to refer to Disruption as a weak slot for the purposes of this conversation, but just so you guys know the term I'm using. I still love you, Eric. What we can then kind of go down is, like, if we look at the next patches, orcs are almost entirely taken hold. 26 players playing taken hold, and then 7 players playing weak slot with Purge and Disruption, and then 2 people getting into the other strong slots with Priority and Reconnaissance. Then we have Chaos Demons, who are fairly spread. A decent a few taken holds, a few purge the foes, a few reconnaissances, a few priors, and a few disruptions. Obviously, Chaos Demons being 5 armies in a trench coat does let it be very flexible in where you fit into slots. And it looks like Chaos Demons was where a lot of teams looked to that.
Lots of Legion of Excess. Interesting.
Lots of Legion of Excess, yeah. Legion of Excess here, and a lot of these Warp Tides are also Legion of Excess because they combine together very well. Advanced and Charging Demonettes, notably quite good. But yeah, some of those are going to be paired with Cavalcade, some of those are going to be paired with the Plague Legions and the Blood Legions of the world. Necrons, also reasonably spread, a decent amount of taken hold, 10 taken holds, 9 Purge of the Foes, 5 Recon, 3 Prio, and 3 Disruptions. Cursed Legion has been very popular as a get us our Purge of the Foe slot, right? Like there's 9 teams that have done this, and I believe a lot of the Pool 1 seeds, their Purge of the Foe is Necrons. If I go into here, Necrons, and I look at Pool 1, we've got four pool 1 Necron Purge the Foes, which
pool 1
of the 11 is actually a pretty reasonable, right? And if we go and look at kind of the all factions Purge the Foes, Australia have it on Sisters, Austria have it on Demons, on Marines and Knights, Belgium have it on Votan, Canada have it on Blood Legion, England have it on Necron's Curse Legion, France have it on Necron's Curse Legion and Creations of Bile, Germany have it on Ret Cadre Tau, Poland have it on Big Hunt Orcs, we have it on Curse Legion Necrons, Sweden have it on Cavalcade of Chaos Shadow Legion, and USA have it on Curse Legion Necrons. So yeah, the only one, like a lot of those are one-offs or Curse Legion Necrons, right? It's a lot of one-off fill the slot or Curse Legion Necrons, which I think is an interesting way to kind of approach that problem. Tau also kind of fell into that spot. There's a lot of Ret Cadre, and then the rest of it is kind of Montka plus X or Kauyon plus X or Montka, and it's pretty evenly spread between them. But a lot of teams moving to Retaliation Cadre, even though it went up to 3 DP, in order to give them the option of having it play a Purge slot, because again, Purge is considered considered quite hard to access and is one of those weak slots that you need an army that is specifically quite good at, and Retaliation Cadre can play that role quite well.
Yep.
I think the other thing that I kind of wanted to shout out here, metrics wise, some of the lower seed ones, some of the lower M ones, we've got quite a lot of these low representation armies. You can kind of see that tail off that we come down. That a lot of these armies are just like getting pushed into disruptions towards the end. You've got quite a lot of teams, like if teams are bringing Drakari or Eldari, or a lot of the teams bringing like Grey Knights, they're bringing it to play disruption a lot of the time, which is a very interesting way to kind of be like, hey, we're going to bring an army that we know is lower end and we're going to put on disruption. We've done the same thing. We brought GSC disruption, but definitely sitting in that kind of space of disruption is perceived as the weakest disposition, and you're bringing a underpowered relative army to play it. It better be very good at its job. So I do think that's an interesting space, right? And we're quite confident in our Gene Circle as being a very good grindy disruption army. But it's also appreciating that it is not a super popular army, and it is considered to be lower on the power rung, and we're also giving it lower disposition. So some teams have gone with there's kind of 2 different approaches here, right? You can kind of see like this bottom half, once it drops off down here, the disruption is more than 20% of the metagame once you drop down below like this army, right? Like once you drop down Astra into low populations, this is probably more than 20% of the field, despite being 20% of the team makeup. And honestly, like only 16% of the makeup across the whole. You see a lot of teams that are bringing like weak army to play disruption or Purge the Foe, right? There's a decent amount of Purge trolling down here as well. Or you see teams that are going the other direction of take strong army, Emperor's Children, Orcs, Chaos Demons, Necrons, Custodes, Tyranids, and say, we're going to give you our disruption slot, right? And be like, we're going to take a powerful army, pair it with weak disposition, and hope that balances out and averages out to powerful army. Or going with, we'll take weak army and build it to be grindy, and be, kind of go with like a different, like a top heavy approach or a bottom heavy approach to the way that you try to solve the disruption problem. And you can kind of see that a lot of teams have kind of, outside of exactly Tyranids and a little bit Custodes, have really avoided doing it with their middle slot armies, right? Like these ones that are in the middle batch that are powerful armies, but are maybe not powerful enough to
uplift like
to
disruption.
Power up disruption. Yeah, like they are good, but maybe they're not just like good enough that even with the like their bad matchups, like they get a couple of differential shaved off them because they have to play disruption, and their good matchups they have to work a little harder for, and it gives them a downside. So can you afford? Maybe you can afford to settle your top armies, but you generally don't want to settle your middle armies unless you have a very specific plan, right? Like if we look at the Chaos Space Marines, there's one Cabal of Chaos Warpstrike Champions list, which is probably going to be a very teleport around scoring army. We've got Tyranids, which obviously Subterranean Assault can only play disruption, so that's an enforced choice there. Those are kind of the 2 big ones that are in this spot, and then we've got Disruption Lions of the Emperor as well, kind of doing that same thing. Does fit that spot pretty well. If we jump over really quickly, can I do this only by seed 1s? It looks like no. That would be really nice. I think it'd be nice to just have a look at a couple of team comps as well, and kind of have a chat about what that looks like. But hopefully everyone's enjoying me vamping about what this kind of can mean.
No, this is perfect because it's a good time for it in S. It's great also to have somebody who,
We don't have the
coming
list
out
yet.
of the
What are we meant to talk about?
somebody wants to come out of the trenches and talk about kind of like what the strategery kind of looks like here.
How did you solve the disruption and purge problem? Yeah. So I think the easiest place to start is let's just talk about Team Scotland's comp. I don't want to do it in a ton of detail because obviously I don't want to give the game away on how we're using stuff, but what did we go for? So we've gone for our power armies being, the top two armies in the game are Orcs and Emperor's Children. We've given them two of the most powerful dispositions. We've given them Taken Hold and Reconnaissance. We have our Cursed Legion Necrons list playing as Purge the Foe, with the idea being that it's just a very good grindy Purge the Foe list. It's got tall units. It's good at not giving up kills. It's good at getting kills. We've got Monka priority assets and Chaos Space Marine priority assets. These are both enforced. These are both 3DP detachments that don't have a choice, that are just doing the thing, go and hit things as hard as you can. We've got Adeptus Custodes filling out our other Taken Hold slot. We've got Company of Hunters Darklight Pursuit. That's yours truly, playing as Reconnaissance. And then for our disruption spot, we have Genestealer Cult, Heroes of the Rising, Pure Strength, Brute Swarm, and Xenocult Masses. I believe us and Canada are the only teams that brought Genestealer Cult, and they did it as final day Xenocult Masses. So they're not even committing to the bet. They brought Tyranids. Shambles, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of how we tried to approach the problem. We've gone for just give the big hitters the good detachments, right? So if for my mileage, Orcs, Emperor's Children, and Space Marines are the three most popular armies at the tournament, and we've given them Taken Hold and Reconnaissance. And what more could you want, right? And then we've got our big gunline armies as priority assets, right? Pact Band Zealots and Tower Empire. Big gunline army, put them in priority assets. They just shoot people and score points without having to do anything. I'm playing Dark Angels, Red Rum. And then, our disruption slot and then our purge slot is very, very dedicated to just stand. And then Custodes is really good at standing. Stand on the objectives, right? What's not to love?
Taken Hold is there's definitely something to just go with philosophically, right? Where you're like, let your big hitters be big hitters, and then let something that needs to be fit into detachments take those detachments, right?
Yeah, we've definitely gone with the top-down approach, right? We're just going to let our big killer armies be big killers and have our weaker armies just do the stable thing, right? Just score points, play the weaker disposition. We're going to choose to not cannibalize our strongest armies, make them a little bit worse in order to make them a little bit better at scoring a disposition that we don't think is as strong. We're just going to let them be power armies. That's our game plan here. And we're going to hope that that's enough to power through some teams that have done the opposite. Now let's take a look at last year's winners, because this is always a fun one. Because I think France have some batshit choices in here, and I think it's super cool. Because batshit to me doesn't mean it's bad; it just means that it's completely out of the realm of what I was thinking about. Now we know that France and England worked together this year; they have publicized that. It was on their Facebook pages, so we can kind of see that there's definitely some similarities here between these comps. But yeah, what have they gone for? Well, they're taking hold spots are going on Orcs Warhorde, and World Eaters, Brazen Engines, Butchers of Khorne, and Vessels of Wrath. And if you tell me that you think you can do what all three of those detachments do, I'll call you a liar, because I don't know, and I'm a little invested in this game.
I think the most interesting thing here for them is double purge the foe, and leaning into creations is just such a vibe.
France have always been a big melee aggressive player, a big melee aggressive team, and I 100% agree that they are, going to do things with these armies that nobody expected. We said that about the France's list last year as well, Martine, and I still don't disagree that the lists were batshit last year. They're just also good, right? Like, France are really good. I'm confident that they have got plans for all these lists that we have not. We have had these lists for a day. I don't understand them all yet. It's okay to say that they look very abstract to compare to what we're used to, but also that's okay. So they're taking hold spots. Orcs Warhorde and World Eaters 30x1. Their priority assets are Emperor's Children, Court, the Conceited, and Legion of Excess, Warptide. Their Purge of the Foe slots are Necron's Cursed Legion, Sky Shroud, and Creations of Bile. Their one-ofs are Space Marines, Liberia's Conclave, Shadowmark. This is a list that is shared with Team England. And Leagues of Votan, Farseeker's Persecution Prospect as their disruption spot. If we jump over to England, you can see a couple of similarities there. They've got the same thing, Coterie plus Legion of Excess. They've got a few differences though. They've got the same Liberius list. They've got the same Warhorde list. So there's 4 lists shared here. Between Warhorde, Coterie, Legion of Excess, win a slightly different position, admittedly, Necrons, and Space Marines. So there's 5 lists here that are shared and 3 that are different.
They doubled
and you can see a little bit of
Prio.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of disposition shuffling in order to make sure that, like, okay, their Chaos Demons is in Reconnaissance because Grand Covenant is an enforced priority asset slot, right? So it changes the way the
Right.
disruption. So these lists might be built slightly differently, but they are very similar, like comp cores, which I think is a very interesting kind of way to do that. So yeah, if you want to have a play around with this data, I would recommend going and take a look at that website. I think the only other thing that I wanted to do was Kian. I have a couple of other charts that Kian from the UN team made, which I'm going to shout out here as being like some super interesting stuff. And then also one thing that one of our coaches, Graham, made. So this is how do people double up their dispositions? So which teams did what? It is slightly awkwardly sorted in terms of like not being in scaling order, but we can see that 58.7. So rough math, what that's 60% of teams. It's like something around 30 teams of the 30 teams of the 46. I'm gonna verify that. 0.587. Yeah, 27 of the 30 teams are playing take and hold priority assets reconnaissance as their double ups. This is where we're in. We consider this to be, what I would consider the three strongest dispositions. It is unsurprising that this is what most teams have landed in. 15% of teams on top of that have then gone with take and hold priority assets purge the foe, so they're not doubling up on reconnaissance or disruption, leaning away from sort of the like the be all the places, the like the rat style lists. And then we can see that the next most popular is doubling up on reconnaissance and skipping one of the other two. This one is skipping take and hold. This one is skipping priority assets. This is very uncommon. And then we've got, these are all basically one-ofs. One team has gone prio reconnaissance disruption, skipping out on double take and hold to double purge the foe. One team has skipped out on double purge the foe and double priority assets, and one team has skipped out on double priority assets, double purge the foe, double reconnaissance. So generally, we're seeing that most teams are doing the three, I would consider like the three mainstream ones. Not necessarily that's because Purge of the Foe is bad. I don't think Purge of the Foe is a bad decision. It's just very hard to access now because there are no 1 DPs that give access to it. So you have to be playing a dedicated 2 DP. And because the 2 DPs are generally the driving force behind the way you compose your army, they're going to be the things that you build the list around. If your 2 DP isn't specifically Purge of the Foe, it often doesn't make sense to go looking for Purge of the Foe. So you have to bring an army that is specifically tailored to that position. Which does make it quite hard to build in, which is why I'm actually kind of impressed that so many teams do still have it as a double up, right? Like if we look across the remainder of this, there are only 3 teams that don't have double purge that aren't in this bucket, right? So everybody else that isn't doing it, so this is 16 of the 30 teams are not doing this because they doubled up on purge the foe, right? So 27 teams are in this bucket. 3 of the remaining are this one, and this one. The one, and then everybody else is on, 2 teams, and yeah, math is hard. I think this is
It's
6
okay.
teams, 6 teams, 6 teams, and then this is the rest.
Yeah.
Or 2 teams, 2 teams, 2 teams, and this is 3 teams, 3 teams, and 9 teams, something in that ballpark, 7 teams, something like that. There's a lot of teams that are not doing like other things because they want double purge level. And like purge level is still a strong and definitional tool set, and it very much impacts the way you're building things. But I will definitely say that our list construction coming into WTC this year was very much 2 per 4.3% is the math. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I'm just very bad at this. One of the interesting things that kind of we took coming into this is we were very much expecting it to be much harder to access Purge of the Foe going into this year's WTC. We were expecting it to be really popular before the balance patch, but then when the balance patch hit and changed a bunch of dispositions and made it much harder to access, we were able to look at all of our list comps and go, we don't think we need to build these to be good against Purge of the Foe as aggressively as we were planning on, because we expected most teams to have double Purge before, whereas now we were expecting most teams not to have double Purge. It very much affected the way that we've composed our list going in. So if you're going to a team event that's playing 8-mans in the future, definitely I think consider how much you need to care about Purge of the Foe, and if you need to bring more than like 2 or 3 armies that are dedicatedly good into it, which is one of the things that for my mileage made reconnaissance much more powerful. Reconnaissance is generally tough matchup into Purge of the Foe was one of the things that was holding us back on it before the balance patch. And it was one, we were generally considering reconnaissance and disruption to be the 2 we were going to skip out on doubling. And then the balance patch hit, and it was like, oh, well, actually, we're definitely going to do double reconnaissance now because there's going to be much less purge preying on it. But what that does mean is that if you were in the camp that decided to bring double purge anyway, despite it being harder to access, you might be able to prey on the amount of double recon that is showing up at this event now. Because we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then this was 27. So 36 of 46 teams have double recon. If you brought double purge, that's a lot of recons that you can potentially go and have a good if you built your list for it. So I think there's going to be a very, very interesting kind of space in here of, yes, it's good, but ultimately what matters is what's happening at the top end, right? So how have the one teams done this? What are the teams you're actually playing against doing it? That will become much more interesting. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to seeing how all of this shapes out. And obviously, once the lists go live, it's all going to be very, very much interesting. I was going to do one more thing. Let me go see if I can grab my. I have one more chart to share, and then I'm going to go and grab one more bit of data.
I'm loving that you're doing the charts. This is so fun.
Here is the crab count.
We got to have the crab count every year, especially as long as
count. No team brought more than 5 defilers. Of those, only 5 teams brought 5 defilers. There is China, Japan, Sweden, Scotland, and the USA all brought 5 defilers. Then Belgium brought 4, and then a whole bunch of teams brought 3, a whole bunch of teams brought 2, a whole bunch of teams brought 1, including notably, where are they? There was like a couple of seed 1 teams. Australia and Austria as seed 1 teams both only brought 1 defiler, and then Netherlands as a newly tier 2 seed, as well as Wales, Lithuania, and Ireland brought 0 defilers. 0 defilers. You couldn't pay me to bring 0 defilers. No defilers in 2026. 5 teams opted in. 4 teams opted in to no defilers. And honestly, proud of you all. I am astounded by your dedication to doing badly.
It's also notable because now Innes has decided that Smack Talk season starts after the
Germany is also in the 1, so that is absolutely worth checking out. Yeah, Germany, Austria, and Australia all as 1 seeds only have 1. Then we have in the 2s we have England and Poland. No, England are the only tier 1 seed with 2 defilers exactly, and then and Canada. Sorry, Canada are a tier 1 seed. I do have to pretend that's true. And then Poland and France have 3. Belgium as a tier 1 seed have 4, and then USA, Sweden, and Scotland as tier 1 seeds all have 5. So there is still a lot of defilers at the tournament, in case anybody was worried that the defilers are bad now. Notably, we brought Pac-Man Zealot still because nothing's changed. The army still shoots like God.
Who'd have thought that Pac-Man Zealot's defilers would still be good after 2 rounds of nerfs?
That doesn't sound right. Has it only been 2 rounds? I thought it had been more.
I think it's only been 2 rounds of nerfs.
That's disgusting. I really wish it had been like 5 or 6 more. Christ. What is it going to take for this data sheet to fuck off? Okay.
I mean, they've tried rewriting it pretty substantially, and it still is not going to fuck off.
This is slightly... I made this at 2 a.m. So there are a couple of things that are slightly awkward on it. Like, for example, the Gulf Coast are playing... Their Custodians army is playing 3 DP. That's just what it says. It doesn't say what their disposition is. It just says 3 detachment points. So they're playing 3 detachment points. Whatever they're doing, it's 3 detachment points. I'm guessing it's Talons of the Emperor. My script didn't break it properly. But what I thought would be interesting here is to kind of just scroll through and have a look at how the top team, some of the teams. So because we've got everything out here. So if you want to zoom onto this, feel free. But I think you can kind of see a general trend that orcs are very, very, very inconsistent. There are a lot of teams doing a lot of different things, but broadly they're kind of falling into the Warhorde bucket, the Green Tide bucket, the more DACA plus the Freebooter plus X bucket, which is either more DACA or Equatorial Hordes, and then there's a couple of random other lists like what Poland's playing.
It's a lot of taken hold, though. Just a lot of taken hold.
Emperor's Children is almost all Carnival of Excess or Coterie, but Carnival vastly outweighs.
Mm-hmm.
Demons are actually pretty varied, but there's a lot of Legion of Excess. Necrons are very varied with a massive mix, as we saw in the disposition set. Tau is basically all Montcar, Retaliation, Cadre, or Callion stuff. But this is kind of just gives you an idea of how the top teams are faring it, right? So you can kind of see, if I zoom back out a little bit, I know that this is really awkward in terms of you guys can't see any information on it, but you can kind of see the structures of the data here, right? Which is that the front 3 armies of Chaos Demons, Orcs, and Emperor's Children are all very much almost every team has them. But as you start going towards the 4 seeds, you start seeing those gaps showing up where some of the 4 seeds just don't have these armies, particularly Chaos Demons and Orcs. And it basically only 4 seeds and exactly Austria were willing to not bring orcs. Once you get over to Tau, you can see that it is generally fairly evenly spread, but top teams are generally preferring Montka, and weaker and lower seed teams, weaker is rude, and I shouldn't say it like that because that's not true, are preferring more towards the retaliation cadres and the Kaoyun plus X's. In fact, all of the Kaoyun plus X's except one are in the seed 3s and seed 4s. Then, as we move across, you can see that Grand Coven is almost universally, or thousands in fact, are almost universally brought by seed 2 and lowers, which probably indicates that players that had more challenge being flexible after the bounce base late, or just really believed in Grand Covenant and didn't have a better option. Whereas on the seed 1 teams, I think you're finding that most of those people were more willing to be flexible. Then you've kind of got the same kind of thing, right? Adeptus Custodes, a decent batch in seed 1, a little batch in seed 2, much more popular in seed 3, and then falls off again in seed 4. Tyranids, very popular in kind of all brackets. And then you can kind of see that, like, after that, it starts being very frenetic. And then you kind of, as you trail off to the right, you see that actually for the lower population armies, the seed 2s are actually very low experimentation. Like you're kind of, your seed 2s are kicking off here. If we go from like the armies with like 5 players or less, very few of them are actually in the seed 2 brackets, right? And there are still a few of them in the seed 1s, but they're much more common in the seed 4s, which again just pushes towards these are people who are playing the army that they have available, that they have practiced, whether or not they think it's necessarily the strongest thing in the world. That is definitely a thing. In the seed 1s and the seed 2s, it is usually more of a role filler. You can kind of see again all that kind of the trend that a lot of these in the seed 1s and seed 2s are the disruption slots, right? Like that's just kind of a general trend that you're kind of catching here. So some stuff to think about. Hopefully that's given you guys a decent overview of some thoughts on the metagame going into it. I know the End of the Matrix are doing a show next week where they'll be going through stuff more in depth with one now that we've actually got the list and all that kind of stuff. I believe they're doing it on the 6th of August. So keep an eye out for that. And obviously when we have the list next week, we'll be live on the show talking about them in even more depth because we're just going to keep making content about this stuff. But that's my sort of general overview. Nathan, is there anything that you picked up on in any of this that you thought was interesting to kind of go into?
It's interesting how well this mirrors and then doesn't mirror kind of the single stats in a lot of ways. Like one of the things that this mirrors really well is the single stats for performance for orcs in particular, just like how well they're doing on take and hold just shoves right into teams. But there's some stuff in here that's really different. Like Emperor's Children isn't like making huge waves in singles right now, which is something that I think is kind of interesting. And the only other thing that I think is really interesting is that you can see the direct result of the balance patch changing the availability of Purge the Foe here. And then you can also see it in the stats from this weekend in singles. And you can kind of see how people have shifted from Purge the Foe, but not completely, because Purge the Foe is still a very popular disposition and have switched, though, into other things like priority assets and taken hold quite significantly as well.
Yeah, I mean, like priority assets to me is walking around like just full mast, right? Like it's like top of its game, best it's ever going to be. It is all downhill for priority assets, but it's never been better to be yellow.
But yeah, and you've seen
there are a few scintillating legions, I believe. If I jump back over to this tab, let's have a look at thousands. So let's have a look at Chaos Demons. We have nobody who's playing it for the disposition specifically, but I think there were a couple of scintillating legions in here. Forgive me if I
jump
around.
Scint is bad. It's just that Scintillating Legion got kind of double punished with the Purge changes and with...
No, actually, there are no Scintillating Legions. Wow, that is tough. Wow. Everybody was just like, birds suck.
Yeah, just a little bit too much points increase in the change of Purge is apparently definitely just killed Scintillating a little bit.
Yeah, I think if I was like at gunpoint, you must play Scint. I would play it as Shadow Legion with Be'lakor, or Shadow Legion with like the Be'lakor detachment now instead, because it can still get access to Purge, and it's like a little less upset about the point changes because it keeps the -1 to hit, so you're a little less like like massively punished, but it is challenging. But yeah, Scint is definitely not in the best it's ever been, but frankly, good. I'm okay with there being less damage 3 in the metagame.
Yeah, I definitely no reason for that, right, Innes?
Absolutely none at all. Don't worry about it. Pay no attention to the Deathwing Knights that are hiding on my shelf.
All right. We've talked a lot about teams for 44 minutes, I suppose. We can talk a little bit about singles.
We could talk about singles. It's probably fine. I don't think I think the 260 people watching us have heard what they want about WTC. Let's talk about some singles.
Sure. All right. So This last weekend, there were 19 GT-sized events or larger that we tracked for the purposes of the stats this week. That's a lot. We're getting into the realm where there are tons of events. Most of the events from this last weekend did use the data slate, so they used the update. Not every single one of them. We're still kind of digging through and sorting a couple things out because it's not always easy because player packs don't always tell you which one they use. So you have to kind of dig around and root around and try to figure out which ones are which occasionally. But here's the data for this last weekend. As per usual, remember, data is a little susceptible to changes, but we can track some trends that we've talked about over the last few weeks in this data. All right. Number one by win rate from this last weekend is Deathwatch. They made up less than 1% of the meta, but they had a 61% win rate. They had a single event win, 2 top 4s, 3 top 10s, and a 3.35 over rep.
I'd be respectable for those two dudes.
Deathwatch doing Deathwatch things is essentially what happens. Deathwatch come in, win an event, Deathwatch leave for 5 weeks, and then do it again.
To be fair, that list was dead. The one was like Deathwatch veterans in Rhinos in Librarius plus Bastion Task Force. So those guys are having the best time, frankly.
And second up is Orcs, 6.5% of the meta, a 60.1% win rate, 4 event wins, 13 top 4s, 24 top 10s, and a 2.63 over rep. I think Orcs might be good, just a little.
I think we need more data before we can nerf Orcs. Orcs, they need to put boys up another like 70 points per 10.
You think we need, something.
An Equatorial Horde to 4 DP maybe?
I don't know what's going on. I'm going to talk about the disposition data in just a second and how much Orcs are lifting up the disposition data. Just
crazy
a little bit
how light to touch Orcs got when they were doing significantly better than Thousand Suns. When Thousand Suns got murdered just got strangled. Orcs needed significantly more changes than they got, and I am upset that they did not get more.
It must be because their book is coming soon, so they didn't want to change.
I am sure it is, but also just like, god damn, if their book's coming, let them be bad for 2 weeks.
It's true. Yeah. Everybody always thinks that their book gets hits the hardest, even when it gets hit not at all. And Orcs
basically didn't change.
Yeah. In third place by win rate is Sisters of Battle. We drop out of the 60s down to 55.5% for win rate, 2% of the meta. They did win an event, though. 3 top 4s, 4 top 10s, and a 1.95 for overrep. Sisters might be okay. I think we'll have to figure out what that looks like. Eldari are in fourth place. They had a 55.3% win rate, making up 2.6% of the meta. They had a top 4 and 6 top 10s for a 0.5 overrep. So clearly not doing great, but having a good time nonetheless. Then there was Dark Angels. I'm going to skip Imperial Agents. There were 2 of you. You did great. You had a 54% win rate between the 2 of you, and you got a top 10.
You're not real until you have 10 players.
Yeah, but you gotta.
I do hope that those buffs were enough to get like Imperial Agents players like actual event play though, because it's cool that they can actually like play their army now.
Yeah, being able to slot in Veiled Blade into like all of your detachments and then making the assassins a little bit cheaper.
It's just like here, have a lethal strat for free, right?
Yeah, like here, just have some things. Dark Angels instead are where Imperial Agents would be. They had a 53.9% win rate, made up 3.6% of the meta. They had an event win, 5 top 4s, 9 top 10s, and a 1.83 overrep. And then that is it for the top 5. In the bottom, we have Black Templars, who had 10 players, a 39% win rate, and no placements of any kind. Death Guard, who had a 40.4% win rate and made up 3.3% of the meta with a single top 4 and 2 top 10s for a 0.4. Astra Militarma decided to run 1.5% win rate, making up 3.5% of the meta, a top 4, 2 top 10s, and a 0.38 for overrep.
Good for them.
Genesteal Bolts had 16 people, a 44.2% win rate, and 2 top 10s. So they have a 0 for overrep. And then running out the bottom 5 is Grey Knights, who I think sadly got whacked for no real reason.
Did Grey Knights get whacked? I thought Grey Knights got buffs in this league because they can come in on turn 1 now.
They got those buffs, but they lost access to Purge in a good way. And I think a lot of people were playing into Purge with Grey Knights.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That is definitely a change that you could perceive as a nerf.
Yeah. Other than that, our event winners from the weekend who weren't in the top 5 are Tau, who won an event and had a 46.3% win rate. Leagues of Votann won an event They had a 47.2% win rate. Space Wolves won an event, again with 30 Terminators in 2 Space Wolves detachments, which good on you, Space Wolves. Chaos Space Marines won an event with a 49.2% win rate. Chaos Demons won an event with a 50% win rate, so perfectly balanced in every way. Space Marines made up 7.9% of the meta, had a 51% win rate, and won 3 events, had 8 top 4s, 16 top 10s, and a 1.34 over-up, which I think is problematic.
Marines doing well is always dangerous. Yes, Marines should not be an army with a positive win rate for all the obvious reasons that they have just a player base of
humongous. Yeah. Custodians aren't actually far behind them. They also had a 6.5% meta representation. They had an event win, 4 top 4s, 10 top 10s, and a 0.8 over-rep. But they're not converting top 4s as well as Space Marines are.
Also potentially problematically high. Custodians probably... Losing Purge is probably good for them because they'll actually play Take and Hold now instead of being like, I'll just play Purge.
Drukari won an event, which was just Skari, if I remember correctly. And had a 51.8% win rate. And then Necrons won 2 events, making up 7.2% of the meta. So closing in on Space Marines still with a 53.4% win rate. The 2 event wins that I talked about, 6 top 4s, 15 top 10s, and a 1.1 over-rep. So honestly, it looks like our win rates are starting to get a little closer to the standard 55 to 45 window, but that doesn't really tell the whole story.
It just really needs orcs to get nerfed and a couple of the bottoms to get buffed, and maybe like I think personally, I've been speaking about this a couple of days ago of like, I think it's really easy to be like disruption needs buffs, and I think that that's a crock of shit, and every other disposition needs to be harder to score because disruption is where it should actually be. It's just way too easy to score points this edition, and I think it needs to be harder for other armies to score, not easier for disruption to score. To go along with like nerfing, you know, the ability to hold as many cards as you can get. It would definitely be good. Skari got 3rd, so it wasn't even Skari.
Okay, so it wasn't Skari, but a Drukari player did win the event. So there you go.
Good for them. But yeah, I definitely do think that there's space that like disruption's fine. Disruption's the only one that's balanced. Everyone else is bad, and they need to be just like pulled down a little to go alongside that.
Well, now you're making me paranoid, even though I put in an auditing thing for placements, guys.
Drukari.
I've almost got it pulled up.
Yeah, there was a
the
Whitby Summer GT that won an event.
There we go. Thank you.
Congratulations to Tom Hampshire.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Larry, who won with Custodians this weekend. Well done, Larry. Ex-Team Scotland. He couldn't play this year because he went to the World Cup instead, but he's still winning tournaments, and I'm hoping he'll be back next year because he's a beast.
All right. Now to talk about disposition data. So
disposition data.
Purge the Foe. Purge the Foe is no longer the #1 most represented. And it has been fully replaced by Take and Hold. Take and Hold was the most played at 28% of the meta. They had 5 event wins, 27 top 4s, and 55 top 10s, and had a 1.28 over-rep.
That's so many for being the most popular as well.
Yep, it's doing great. When you take out orcs are 2 of the event wins. Just going off the win rate, I didn't recalculate over-rep, although now I realize I should have done that. If you just take orcs out of the Take and Hold data, they go down to a 49% win rate. So orcs are definitely lifting up the whole.
That's bad. That's really bad.
By 2%.
That's a real problem.
The second most popular by meta representation is now priority assets at about 25%. They had 4 event wins, 19 top. Yeah, go yellow. 19 top 4s, 49 top 10s, and a 1.01 over-rep. Perfectly balanced in every way.
Yellow. I'm playing teal at WTC, but yellow.
Much declined from their greatness is Purge the Foe, who have dropped down to 3rd place and a 22% meta representation. They had a 48% win rate, 3 event wins, 11 top 4s, 34 top 10s, and a 0.66 over-rep. And that's just off the back, I think of it being harder to access than some of the powerful detachments.
Yeah, I think Purge is still the one like a lot of people want to play. I know that my like previous Purge players like, from bullshit, I can't play Purge anymore. I want to play Purge so bad. Everybody that wants to play Purge fucking loves Purge, but if they can't access it, they can't access it. The fact that it's still like it has a 1.1 like edition, like 1.1 times representation factor, right? The expected value for everybody is 20%. They have a 1.1 times that. They're at 22%. So they're, they're 10% more represented than they should be. And they're still doing well despite that, despite being so hard to access, right? People are contorting themselves to get access to that now.
And then the next one up is Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance made up 13.5% of the meta and had a 53% win rate, which is the highest win rate of all the dispositions. They had 4 event wins, 9 top 4s, 29 top 10s, and a 0.88 over rep. They're doing quite well. Like, Reconnaissance is good. Everybody's winning events so far. In last place by meta representation is Disruption, who only made up 9% of the meta and had a 48.9% win rate overall. 3 event wins, 8 top 4s, 18 top 10s, and a 1.17 over rep. So still doing fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Disruption is not like catastrophic. It's just the worst, right? It's not like it's disastrous.
The only thing that I think that is a problem in this data is how much take and hold there is. Over a quarter of the meta is shoved into take and hold, which is just too much take and hold. We should, maybe GW will figure something out to like rebalance that a little bit just by meta representation. But otherwise, like,
so that no 1 DPs can access take and hold either, and then you'll only be able to play Reconnaissance or Disruption from your 1 DP. And then they'll play Disruption. Sure, like.
Yeah, KR Quinn is right. Is that like when you look at the summary data, and this excludes mirror matches between the dispositions, but includes faction mirror matches. Like, the disposition data is really tight. Like, nobody's above 55% in win rate. Nobody except Take and Hold like a little bit is outside of the over rep window that we usually look at for balance. Like, only Take and Hold is 0.03 above the threshold.
Do we have data on disposition matchups? Like Take and Hold versus
I do not have that yet,
because I think
work it out.
That's where I think we're going to see the imbalance more so than in the like overall representation data, because I think generally, if what we're seeing here, which I think what we are seeing, is a shit ton of it. Take and Hold plays Prio, and Prio plays Take and Hold, and Prio plays Purge, and Take and Hold. That if those 3 are balanced against each other and are over 80% of the metagame, then yeah, of course it's going to be a 50% win rate. And then people who are willing to play Reconnaissance Disruption are like playing it for a reason, or are playing in brackets where the disposition doesn't matter as much because they're just killing each other, then it's going to trend towards that. But I think if the disposition data is just like, hey, Disruption massively loses against these things, blah, 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 or if you sort it by like, if we do ELO sorts, stuff like that, I think it becomes much more interesting what that data shows. But I think until we have a better way to visualize that, that's where the next one's going to come from.
And I'm waiting for us to get a little bit more data before I talk about the disposition data, but hopefully soon. I should have some summary data ready for us next week, or maybe later this week if you're in the Patreon. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about, because we've talked about it a little bit, is we've talked about how orcs are powerful quite often in the show. I do want to talk about orc disposition data for a second.
Please do.
So orcs have 31 people this last weekend who were playing Take and Hold, and they had a 64% win rate. Just by itself, that made up 3.5% of the meta with 31 players. They had 2 event wins and 8 top 4s and 15 top 10s, so that's 2 of the event wins. But orcs are also doing really well with the disruption. They had 8 people playing it and a 73% win rate, and they also had 2 event wins, 3 top 4s and 5 top 10s with disruption. So they're doing quite well with both Take and Hold and disruption right now, and are 2 of the, 2 of the 3 disruption event wins from the weekend.
Yeah, like orcs are just like wildly overtuned, right? Like I don't think anybody's questioning that. Like orcs are just wildly above rate. Just the fact that, can I just start with Wazdaka didn't go up in points in the last data slate and got buffed to be able to come in on turn 1.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's probably like, he might be better than Twin Lance now.
Yeah, he might be. He's in every single orcs list that I see. So it's like
I could not imagine building an orc list without him. So, and maybe Gaz is overtuned as well. He's also in every single list.
And then, like, if I'm gonna pull up the detachment combinations real quick as well. What I have for orcs is most commonly is apparently Freebooter, Crew, and Mordaka is the most common. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that makes it.
No,
Freebooter is definitely the best way to do it after. If you want to do the slightly shooter build, Mordaka Freebooters is really good. Equatorial Horde Freebooter is also really good. But some people just like playing a little bit of shooting and don't want to be as all in on the turn 1. I think they're cowards, but
but like, there's a lot of it. I think orcs need their book to come out if we're gonna see any changes. Probably, it feels like it must be soon because they said it was soon in multiple different reveal streams. We'll
I
kind of
would
see what
look.
happens.
I'm not NDA'd. I don't have anything to do with this. I would be
Neither am
shocked if
I.
we don't get it for the next time the app updates for the data slate, which presumably will be in July, will be in August because they've said it is. I would expect that whenever that update happens is when orcs get added to the app. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was like pre-orders this week or next week, and then the balance data slate happens 3 weeks after that. That would be my personal guess. But that is
because we
coming
have
purely off the back of GW like to tie app updates to codex releases when they can.
And we have Necromunda for pre-orders this week, so it might be this Sunday, the 2nd, where they tell us that they're going to do pre-orders the following week, right?
That would be my guess. Is
Which
it's
would
either
make
the 2nd or
sense.
the 9th for release this month, because they've been saying it's a few weeks away on the articles for a couple weeks. So
I wouldn't be surprised if we had the earlier of the two, which would be August 19th, as
which would then probably be like balanced data slate. Like if it was like, okay, so it goes up for pre-orders on the 2nd, pre-orders is the 8th, then it releases on the 22nd, which would then give us the balanced data slate on like Wednesday the 19th, or it goes up on the 9th for pre-orders on the 15th, releases the 29th, which gives us the app update on the 26th, right? I think the 26th is more likely, so I would expect it to be pre-orders on the 9th, but that would just be my guess based on that. They might just do 2 updates, right? We don't really know, but I would expect that the balanced data slate will want to just have the most up-to-date orc points and will not want to be like rebalancing this codex and then also, so that would be my guess personally.
Yeah, other than that, I know people are looking forward to the dashboard and stuff coming out. We should expect to see the dashboard releasing sometime soon. Cliff says we should maybe see it this week or early next week, is what I've been told. But we're working out kind of... Cliff is working on more stuff to visualize, so we'll see how it goes, is basically what I'm going to say.
We shall see.
Otherwise,
that's stuff ongoing.
That's all the data for the moment. I will look at getting some more data all put together for you if you get into the Discord. And there will be some more data later this week for you all to munch on, is what I'll say.
Sick. I think I should do the plugs.
I think so. We're an hour into the show. We should probably plug some stuff.
That's probably true. Look if I can get them right in the corner.
I'm so proud of you, Innes. So organized.
I know, right? I'm learning. I'm learning how to be like slightly more coordinated as a person. I've been throwing golf ball around to try to catch it and be like, ooh, I only look like an idiot like 6 or 7 times I was throwing it. And yes, I did that intentionally. Don't worry about it. All right, let's do some plugs. If you guys are an hour into the show and you're still enjoying it, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for being here so far. We will be back after these messages to do some of the good old answering questions and stuff. But if you're liking us and you want to continue to see more of us, do the socials thing, right? Like, comment, subscribe, blah, 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 push the buttons. We try to do our best to respond to all the comments. You know, liking and subscribing helps us you see more of us and us to know that you guys enjoyed these ones. Obviously, we have a like 20% higher viewer numbers today than we usually do, which is great. We greatly appreciate you all for being here. I know it's WTC. I would assume it's WTC related, but if you want to stick around and see more of us, that's the place to do it. If you want to see our back episodes, bonus content, anything else that I make, I'll be doing my Edinburgh report sometime this week. I'm hoping to record it on Friday. So stick around for that. If you want to see more content coming out of us, that's the place to do it. That's youtube.com/statcheck. If you're in a position to support us financially and you'd like to chuck us a little money in order to help us continue to do stuff like this and, doing all of our good causes and all that kind of stuff, you can check out patreon.com/statcheck or the YouTube memberships link in the description box below. $5 a month gets you access to our Discord where you can chat with everybody, make fun of Nassim for writing terrible lists, all that good stuff. You can also find all of the other episodes that StatCheck helps create. That is Enter the Matrix, X and 1, Take All Commerce, Champions of 40K, and Medicaid's Orders. They're all available on the YouTube site. That's youtube.com/StatCheck. I know the End of the Matrix will be recording next week on the 6th. I believe that Medicaid's Orders are recording next Monday. And you guys will get to hear probably like at least 3 minutes of Francois talking about Canada at WTC. I'm sure that will happen.
Before we switch to a different topic.
At least 3 minutes. Then it'll be back to other stuff. You can also find all the sponsors that StatCheck is brought to you by. That is Red Dragon, Whale and Yutani, J15 Games, and Saltar Games. You can find links to all of those in the description box below, as well as discount codes. If you want the discount code for Red Dragon, you do need to be a member of the Patreon Discord through Patreon or YouTube, and you'll find the link on that site. If you're looking for your hobby needs for basically anything, one of our sponsors will probably have it for you. And if they don't, we'll be surprised. But give it a shot. Red Dragon's probably your best bet for most stuff. But if you're looking for terrain, widgets, measuring gauges, anything like that, someone's got you. If you're looking for WTC terrain, someone's got you. I don't know why you'd be looking for current WTC terrain, like just get GW stuff, but Wayland's probably got something for that. Lastly, you can check out all of our coaches at stat-check.com/coaching or drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com if you'd like to work with any of our incredible coaches, including the newly added Chris Irvine, Sam Pope, and Nemo the Fish, as well as all of our old coaches like, the washed up myself, Neelam, Nassim, Pumbaa, Tyler.
You're getting there. You're almost old enough to be washed
Dude,
up.
we're old. I'm 30 this year, man. I'm getting old.
Fuck, I just aged in real time. I just aged a lot in real time when you said I'm 30 now, Innes.
No, I'm not 30 now. I'm 30 this year. I'm still 29. Give me got another 3 months. I know, right? The Lennon the Boy King turned 30 this year. That's a fun one. I don't think you can call him the Boy King anymore. It's just
Lennon the Man King and Lennon the middle-aged king.
You can tell him that one. I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can check that out. Drop us a message if you're looking to work with anything on the new edition. Obviously, I'll be taking a break from work for 10 days or for 7 days over WTC, and I imagine most of the rest of the guys will be doing the same. But if you want to work with anybody, that is the place to do it. We are quite good at our jobs, I'd like to think. Sometimes, right? You'd like to think that we were good at this.
Yeah.
I think that's what I got for today. I didn't do any bonus content this week because I've been busy with WTC, but I'll be recording on Friday. Nathan, have you done any bonus content?
No, I'm working on a plan for bonus content for Ottawa. So y'all get ready. Let me know if there's something specific you want out of it.
Oh, we could do a coaching session again and record it like we did last time.
We should actually. I was gonna propose that later, but we can propose it live on air instead.
We can do that. I can find time.
Yeah.
When is Ottawa?
When again? Let me look at my calendar again.
Is it like more than a week after WTC?
It is the weekend of the 28th of August.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I'll be back from WTC. I'll have had a week to detox. We can do that. We can work on your list, do some deployments and some stuff like that. Yeah, that's easy.
Awesome. Let's do that, bud.
We should do that because that'd be good fun. And I can update my my advertising spiel.
We can do I can be in both of your example coaching calls.
Exactly. No one else on StatCheck needs it. What? Who said that? Well,
Whoa, fucking rude as shit, but that's okay.
That might. Dude, I'm going to tell you not to heroic.
Fuck, that is the title of the episode. How not to heroic a coaching session with Nathan.
No, Nathan, it's so much better. Don't be a hero.
Fuck. So good. Damn it.
So, as always, there are 3 ways to get your question asked and answered on the show. One is to be in the YouTube live show and leave a super chat, which we will get to 100%. I will vamp on GSC a little bit in a minute because that's already here. You can be a member of the Patreon Discord and leave a question in the show thread. And you can just ask us a really good question, which we'll do our best. That's all I got. Nathan, would you like to take us away?
Sure. Why don't you do... I lost the super chat for vamping on GSC, but thank you to... I'm assuming that one guy...
It was that one guy, John, yep. I'm going to do all of the super chats first. So you can go and find the stuff and I'll do the super chats. So, John, GSC right now, I have problems. Biggest problem I have with GSC is the game is really, really fucking fast. And it's kind of hard for GSC to develop any pressure. Because in order to have GSC not get run over by the aggressive armies, you kind of have to deploy a lot of stuff on the table to make sure that you can hit back when you get ran at. Then you lose those screens, and then your opponent is still on top of you. And if you went second, you still have another turn before you can come down. But also, because of the way the turn 1 reserves rules work now, the units that died can't come back yet because you can't set them up on turn 1 because they're not permitted to set up. So all of your units are just going to get stuck in reserve, and you're going to get run over for a second turn. That is then combined with the fact that GSC are only really good at applying pressure from reserve, which then means that you either deploy your stuff on the table, have no pressure if you go first, or if you go second, you get run over because all your stuff that died can't come back yet, and you just get bulldozed. Or you go first and you can't apply any pressure because all your stuff's on the table and you have to wait for your stuff to die before you can get anything in reserve. Maybe you can start a couple bits off, but it's very hard for GSC to aggress at someone because they're just not durable like that. They're not fast enough to cross no man's land with outside some very specific units. So you're kind of reliant on playing take and hold bio like Tucker or Ricky's list, which will do the job but is very specialized. And the rest of it kind of doesn't work. My other problem with GSC right now is Ridge Runners just can't fucking deploy anywhere. The models are huge. They're really hard to hide, and with the really small backfields now, because there's so little terrain in them, it's really hard to deploy a Ridge Runner somewhere relevant. And then you combine that with Ridge Runners being really hard to use for melee armies because they only hit on 6s. So you're going to ping the gun over and be like, D6 plus 3 shots on 6s instead of on 5s or 4s like it used to be, which makes it only really kind of work with melee. It doesn't really work with it doesn't really work with melee as well. It only really works with shooting because you can't get that sort of setup going, right? That's the word I was looking for. I don't have the link. Do we have the link for that site again? I don't have it. I'm not going to go and find it right now.
We'll make sure it's in the show description for you, but we can also.
I will not do that at all. I'm going straight to a coaching call after this.
Well, fuck. Then I gotta find it. That's fine.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to be up to like 3 a.m. today coaching. It's all good.
And
don't
it's
worry
just
about
copy
it.
paste it in the backstage chat.
I don't know where it is. I can't find it. I forgot what it's called.
Something. Fuck.
It was like Cassis something, or it started with an
ConsiliumArtisBelli.com.
There you go. That was what it was. Cool. I can get that link. Now that you said it, I was like, yeah.
We'll get that.
Invest in. Well, I had the link in my history, but I just couldn't find it in my history. Can StatCheck invest in subtitles? No, Theo. Invest in understanding me better.
It's true. You got to invest in classes.
Someone described Innis on 3 times speed as the Dark Souls of Warhammer content, which I enjoyed.
Look, you know who the best person is Floof, who sent me the actual link in a DM when I asked for it. So shout out to Floof for being just the best. Thank you, Floof.
Fantastic. All right. There's a couple of other super chats from Tom Weston. Can't wait for Innis to tell our did player his list is shit again at Bar Popular. I've not read his list. I'm probably not going to read his list, but it's probably shit. Your list sucks. I hope you do great. Martine asks, how much grass was touched by Team Scotland in the last week? I think I did like 18,000 steps just trying to not be in my house. Sorry, 180,000 steps just trying not to be in my house. I was doing like 20,000 steps a day just to like not be at my computer for a bit. I was like, I'm going to sit on a team call and I'm going to go for a walk while I'm doing it. I think I missed my steps for the first time in like 3 weeks today because I was getting a tattoo and didn't feel like moving afterwards. But
fair and reasonable, really.
It's understandable, right? I only did like an hour today, but not going to complain too much. But I touched a lot of grass. I know Dan went to the beach on Sunday, one of those days. So at least some amount of grass and some amount of waves. I should have gone to the beach. That would have been a really good call. I live so near St. Andrews. And then Chaplain Grimalda says, how to start a QK guard army from box sets. Guard is a really tough one because it really depends how you want to build the army. My general suggestion right now would be to go and find a list archetype that you like the idea of and to try to buy that, but mostly focus on trying to get like the stars and stuff like that. Like you can probably get some out of the way there, but I know that the way people are building guard right now is very, very weird and skewy. And I would probably wait for a balance patch before I was like to go and start guard. But unfortunately, this is just not a question that I have a ton of experience with because guard's a weird army and they change a lot, right? Like right now you could probably do like, go and get a couple Dorns, go and get a couple squads of Acadians and some Kriegsmen, some Horse and some Khazarkins and Chimers, and like none of that's in the good list right now. The good list right now is like 18 mortars and 30s and 45 silence, right? Like it's just a very different army like that. Or 18 last cannons and 45 silence. So it's just really challenging because guard is an army that contains so many different ways of playing things, and their box sets are generally quite scattershot. Nice. Like the starter set is 5 Rough Riders and a Khazarkin squad and Acadian command squad or some shit like that, which is just like fucking useless on average because like you maybe use one of those squads for your army, but probably not all of them, which, it just doesn't have a lot of cohesion like a Marine army or something like that will. So guard's tough to do like that.
The Armageddon Battalion box, the Armored Fist one or whatever, is like mostly tanks and a Rogaldorn.
Yeah, if you can find any of the older boxes, like the Christmas boxes and stuff like that, they tend to be a lot better, a lot more focused, but the really combat patrol is terrible.
You also, I'm going to put this out there, you might be able to get secondhand guard armies for cheap right now because the army's win rate is so low and the community is pretty upset about it. So you might just be able to buy them secondhand. Just going to put that out there.
Also potentially true.
The sun will rise on guard again later is what will happen from a general balance perspective, although guard are pretty good in a skewy way, like Innis said right now. Okay. Did we have any other super chats? That was the last one?
That was the super chats.
All right. Somebody named Innis asked a question, which is, who has the most boosted lists at WTC?
Oh, dude, it's England by far. Terrible army. Every single one of their lists looks terrible. It's all Nas's fault.
And so we're really digging into the hashtag anybody but England again this year? Is that?
Oh, it's always anyone but England, mate. Anyone but England the whole time.
Fair.
Like
Ansar.
the USA, I like the USA now, so it has to be anyone but England.
That's fair. I like that. All right. Ansar is up next. How can we fix dangerously low amount of psyops this year?
I think everybody was just too in the pan to psyop. Like we had 5 days, brother. I didn't have time to psyop anybody.
The extent of the psyops was Innes showing off his half-painted Tyranids army that he was painting and converting up. That was the closest we got to psyops this year.
And I submitted Dark Angels for Edinburgh, but a different detachment. And then I got a Dark Angels tattoo because I was obviously hiding that I was playing Dark Angels. I actually wasn't playing Dark Angels until like 2 days before list submission, but don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about that bit. All right. Stuart has the next question, which is curious about the guys' take on how to build Tau after the changes. Siegler seems very high on breacher teams. Do you agree? Do you think the Hound / Warshaper tech is valuable again with the shift being priority assets?
We are playing Montka with double 3-man broadsides with missile pods, if that tells you anything about where the meta's heading, and a breacher team because volume is king right now. Tau is very good at prio. We are playing that. I do think that like the Kroot hunting pack list that like Ross Holly was playing is super cool. And I definitely do think that that's the army that I would have the most fun with in Tau. But Montka prio is like Twin Lance and all that shit. It's a lot of volume, and volume is important right now. You've got to be able to get people to deal with their hidden, and Montka has the way to do that. Red Cadre can also do it, but I think Red Cadre is just Red Cadre playing Purge. I don't think it's very good at personally. I think it's a kind of poor Purge army personally. It just has too much stuff, and stuff is the enemy for a Purge army.
Monka getting priority is just a buff, honestly. Priority is so much better for Monka than
prior is very good. It lets you play the trading game with piranhas and stuff like that without feeling like you're drifting points into the wind on Killmore, giving up Killmores against Prio and Purge mirrors.
Yep. Also, breacher teams are really good. Just as a general rule of thumb,
they are. Yes. It's like 150 for the package if you don't play Cadre Fireblade, which I think is entirely reasonable.
Yep. And they will kill things just flat out dead with lethals and having good enough AP to just shove them to either bad invulns or no save at all. All right. Chris called cooked by Innes. See, anyone else get whiplash with how quick we've gone from Purge is going to smash everything to why would you play Purge, or is that just me?
I mean, Purge is really hard to access now, but it's still definitely just like the simplest disposition to play. I don't think Purge is bad. It's just hard to access, and that makes it bad because if you can't play it, it doesn't matter how good it is. Its rule set is challenging to access. I think Purge is very powerful. I do think it has a tough matchup into exactly priority assets, and priority assets being very popular does make that challenging, right? But it's not like the thing with the the rock paper scissors shotgun metagame is that whenever something rises up, the things that deal with it become more powerful. Prio was very popular, Purge was very popular, so people lean to their list to be good at beating Purge the foe, which then because Purge the foe my take on this, and I think I said this on the show last week, but I'll say it again because it's an interesting point to my eyes, is that Purge the Foe was at the beginning the simplest disposition to play, required the least thought to build a list for, but was also the only one that you had to build a list for. Because the way you counter Prio and the way you counter Take It Hold and Recon and Disruption is that mostly you just play aggressive and you go and kill them and you play good Warhammer, right? Like you just play good Warhammer at them and you'll play a normal game with them because they're just playing Warhammer. But Purge the Foe is playing like this weird side game. It's like side betting, right? You guys are all playing the game, and then Purge the Foe is like on Kalshi, just being like, "Yeah, let's go, come on, let's play some side bets on who's going to kill each other faster," right? Instead of playing Warhammer, and you could just go, "I'm going to play in a way that beats that." So you could build super tall, right? Like the list I took for Edinburgh was 5 bricks of units and 6 chaff pieces, 2 of which had fire and fade that I never exposed. So Purge the Foe players didn't get a kill against me because they couldn't, because I had 5 bricks of shit house in front of them, so they wouldn't get a kill. I didn't need to skew my list for Purge the Foe. I didn't need to skew my list for anything, so I only need to skew my list for Purge the Foe. Therefore, Purge the Foe, by virtue of being the top dog and the only one you had to account for, while also being the only one it was good to build for, becomes the archetype of its own downfall, then got nerfed on top of that by becoming harder to access and getting a little easier to score against, now makes it genuinely probably not that good. Like, it's fine, it's okay, but people know what Purge does now. We are a month into the edition. People have experience playing against it. People have repped against it. People have built lists that deal with it, and now Purge lists have to accommodate for that, and it's challenging to do that because Purge's playstyle is very one-dimensional. It is simple, but by being simple, it has so little avenues for success besides hit them in the face.
Yep. And I think it's easy during the first part. Like, we're only a little bit over a month into the edition at this point, right?
Yep.
It's very easy to just promote the thing that is simplest and most straightforward, and then to shift as you learn more about the edition into other dispositions. And all Games Workshop has done by making Purge harder to access is shuffle people around into other dispositions more so. So you'll see less Purge over time, but Purge will still be there because Purge is a good disposition. You just have to build into it now instead of before where it was a lot easier to access. So you could kind of side build into it.
Yep. Purge is responsible for Purge's fall from grace.
Purge is responsible for its getting purged. Yes.
Yep.
And then the more serious question is, what needs to change for Disruption to make it more worth playing? I don't think Disruption needs to change.
Get worse. Everything else needs to just like lose a point off its hold, and secondaries need to get harder to score. Or like
honestly,
I don't think you should be allowed to carry more than two cards into the next turn. You got to discard down to 2 at the end of your turn. Can't hold more than 2.
I think it should be more like 3 because then
nope, can't hold more than 2. Fuck it.
But
that's possible. It. Score your cards.
Otherwise, I do think you can make the other dispositions just like a little bit worse, like in a set, and just that would balance Disruption upwards essentially.
I think most kill conditions need a point carved off them. Most storm hostile points need a point carved off them, and most hold points need a point carved off them. Not all of them. Like I don't think most things should go below 3 or below 2 if they were like I think most storm hostiles, most kills should be 2 points, not 3 points, etc., etc. Just make it harder to score. Make you have to play the game for 5 turns if you want to score all your points. And Disruption then gets less aggressively terrible. If everyone struggles to score at least a little bit, right? If it's not just expected that you score 45.
Yep. I think
there's 2 cards at most would be you have 2 that you can carry forward, and you would still draw the 2 new ones. You would go up to 4. You can have 4 cards in your next turn, but at the end of that turn, you've got to go back down to 2, right? You can just never take more than 2 in. You can still have 4 in hand, but no more than 2 at one. No more than 2 to the next one.
The next question is from Peasant Warden Jason. Given that tier 1, nearly all the tier 1 teams took Curse Legion over Awakened, is this likely a disposition comp choice, or is Curse Legion that much better than Awakened?
I think Curse Legion is stronger than Awakened. Awakened got nerfed pretty hard in the data slate. I do think that was true. And also, Awakened takes a take slot while also being like only pretty good at take. You can just play an army that's better at take and then still have good Necron army, right, with Curse Legion. And Curse Legion fills a purge slot, which is generally quite hard to access if you're not like hunting for it specifically.
I agree. I think the reanimation change for holding objectives is a lot bigger than maybe people
really hard to Awaken
expected.
And the rezzing character one actually really hard as well. It's like actively worse than it was last edition now.
It does force Necron players to perhaps play something other than 20-man warrior bricks for the rest of eternity, though. All right, Sir Beardle has the next question, which is, it seems like Purge helped to get at least the top 3 disposed to roughly the same number of players it did. Will GW turn with the next some TH and Prio into Disruption too? And then when there are 80% Disruption detachments?
This is not a useful question. I don't think we can comment on this. I think we can.
Yeah, I don't. It's a lot about like maybe GW will tweak it. Eventually, we'll hit balance. The first 3 months after the release, they said they were going to release a patch every month. Perhaps we'll get to a point where all the dispositions are more equally represented. That's all I'll say about that, because that is essentially the question in there. DJ, so much Dark Angels. Will they be bad touch next after WTC?
Dark Angels definitely need something changed. My immediate gut is that the Lion probably shouldn't have come down in points, and that the Ravenwood Command Squad probably didn't need to get support. That would be my starting points. I think Azrael should probably also have the same change that Calgar had, where he has to be your Warlord, so you can't play him and the Lion to get +1 CP. But I know it's not abusing the CP thing the same way Ultramarines was. But there's definitely like some stuff there. Company of Hunters is very broad. Landspeeder Vengeances are too good. I think Vengeances, the Lion being a little too cheap, are like the two big sticking points for me. But there's maybe like Company of Hunters is a little too broad. I think those are kind of the things that I think need. Company of Hunters could probably be a 3 now with the buffs that it got. And the Landspeeder Vengeance, I think you could either up it in points a little bit or up a Nightforge Battery a little bit. Nightforge Battery could maybe justify being 25 instead of 15, or 20 instead of 15. And the Lion can probably have its rule work on turn 1 and go back to being command phase, but go back up to 285 or 290, that kind of space. Yeah. Maybe even 300. He's very powerful for where he does at the moment. But yeah, there's a lot of change. Like obviously, the Dark Angels are very strong. I know Josh Roberts was playing them at the weekend, so he'll have gotten a bunch of data on what needs to happen with them. And yeah, they're very, very good.
Eric Colts-Chan has the next question, which is, which lists do you think are mostly being included because they fill out a disposition slot, but wouldn't otherwise be particularly good?
I think we spoke about that already.
We did. I would go back to our 30 minutes talking about WTC and the faction breakdowns and dispo breakdowns to kind of get a thought process on that. Matthew Payne, Engine Aficionado, says, well, I know as captains/vice captains, you kind of have to go into the event confident in your composition. That being said, are there any lists that you are seeing that you really like that either didn't fit into your comp, didn't have the time to test, or completely missed?
I really like the Legion of Access list. We didn't have a great way to get it in. We preferred Pac-Man Zelts over it, just with the amount of testing we had and the data. But I did like Access. Was there anything else that really stood out? We tried really hard to fit Guard into our comp, but just couldn't get a player to stick with it. It just proved quite challenging. I think those are the only two ones that I was like, yeah, that would have been nice to have. I would have liked a disruption list that we loved, not a disruption list that we had. I think that's the biggest thing that we're just like annoyed with. But I'm not upset about that. Death Guard was another one. We really wanted Virulent, but we couldn't find the take spot for it. We wanted our other ones more powerfully. And I think that's a lot of the problem, right? Like you can't just pick the 8 best armies, you have to pick the 8 best compositional slots now, which I think does add an interesting dimension to it, but it was very challenging for the first year of doing it.
That makes sense. Next up is Will. Defilers got punched in the slate. Does CSM default to PBZ or Soulforge now? They're still our strongest shooting platform, and it feels most correct to just step into what naturally pushes their damage.
Absolutely, still play 2 Defilers. Play them in Pac-Man, play them in Fellhammer, play them in Veterans, play them in whatever. Or don't play Defilers at all and go play Creations of Bile or Huron's Marauders and do it that way instead. That is the bet. Like either play Defilers and play the attachment that supports them, or don't play Defilers and go and solve your problems another way. But Defilers are still fucking incredible.
Honestly, the list that I'm most excited to see on Monday is France's creations list because I want to see what it looks like. I want to know. I want to know what the sauce is there.
It's pretty wild.
I'm excited. That just makes me. I love creations, so I want to see what they did.
It's got 9 of a model. There you go.
Fuck! I don't. Damn it! It is like teasing me with creations is evil, and I hate it. All right. KR Quinn is next. Custodes are seriously right at the 50% mark in singles, which is great, in my opinion. I was kind of surprised so many top 2-tier teams took them. But player skill is a thing. Just better in teams or good at skews.
Look, sometimes you just watch Folder play Custodes and it looks like the most broken army in the game, so you decide that you're going to take it as well. Then, what else are you meant to say about that? Yeah, we think Lions of the Emperor is really good. It does really well into a lot of things, and we think it is very strong. It answers a lot of metagame threats that we're worried about. I'm not going to tell you which ones because, but you can probably look at the army and have a good go. But we think it's very powerful. We think it plays well. And, Folger made it look broken. So
there you go. Sometimes you just need that to happen. Somebody to show you the way. And then hopefully you can follow the same path. I'm going to butcher this person's name, and I'm really sorry, Pesek. Sisters are still too weak for WTC after the points cuts, or is it the case of them being just too weak in priority assets / take and hold slots? Still very surprised to see only 3 teams give them a go.
I think they're okay. We just didn't really have a great slot for them. Like Australia took them for their part of the foe slot, Luxembourg had them for their take and hold, and United Nations had them for their take and hold slot, but we just didn't have a take slot for them or a priority slot for them, and we didn't like them as a purge army. So
Ashley has the next question is for Innis. Specifically, Scotland is one of the 2 teams with GSC without giving away too many secrets. Why do you think other teams didn't bring them?
Other teams are cowards who don't have good GSC players to inform the decisions and to test with and to learn the army for a player who's not super confident in it. Where we feel that we do have that, and also that Scott's a very good guard player, very good at playing the grind game, and we're confident that he'll be able to get up to the results that we want for that army. Because he's got a good muscle memory for that kind of army. If you don't have good muscle memory for GSC and you don't have someone who's going to sit there and like work through it with you, it can be really hard to be the person that YOLOs onto an army like GSC when it is perceived to not be that good. I wouldn't play it in singles at gunpoint for what it's worth. But
Kevin is up next. Any lists or factions that Scotland was heavily considering for WTC but decided to go in another direction?
Chaos Demons was probably the big one that we didn't end up with. We were like very much in the space of like we needed to find an army that we wanted, not like the 2 that we didn't have that we don't have that we wanted were Access and Death Guard. But everything else that we kind of went through, like we have a big spreadsheet of like everything that we could feasibly fill the disruption slot with and all that kind of stuff. And we were very much in the space of we need to find our last 2 armies, not we have 8 armies, not we have 10 armies we want. So we were like definitely trying to fill the last 2 spots, not trying to cut to 8. And I definitely prefer it that way. I think it's a lot more interesting and it works better for the comp rather than trying to be like, let's manage the egos of the people who've been playing these and who are we telling doesn't get to play their army they like, rather than being like, hey, you are, not playing an army that we like right now. You're going to play this, next tier army and to do your best with it. Like I think I prefer that compositionally because it's much easier to work with the army selection part of that, which as a captain just makes my life easier.
The next question is from Floof, number 1 woman enjoyer. Flutters eyes cutely. Innis, which one of the lists on your team is your personal favorite in terms of it being cool and amazing and really well designed? You can't say your own.
It's probably. Let me go have a look at our comp. Sorry, my brain is just like I went through everything and then forgot everything. I mean, look, our Chaos Space Marines list is just the genericest shit of all time. I love our Custodes list. It's super powerful. It's super cool. It does a lot of damage. Our GSC list is very like good at its job, but it's got like some really cool tech choices that I think people will be surprised by. The Orcs list is fantastic. It just does its job very, very well. It's very, very good at it. The Dark Angels is a disaster class of design choices, so I don't think that's true. It's got to be the Cursed Legion. I think the Cursed Legion list is super cool.
Nice. Zach has the next question, which is, what is the faction that surprises you most? How many of them were taken? And conversely, what army are you surprised by how few were taken?
I was personally... Well, Nathan, do you want to give your answer to this one first?
Honestly, to me, the most interesting... I guess I expected there to be more Chaos Space Marines. There are a fair number of Chaos Space Marine players, but there are only 15, I think, Chaos Space Marines out of a possible 46.
15 of 46.
Which doesn't seem like a lot. Also, 10 fewer Orcs than I expected to see. I expected to see every single team with an Orcs player, and it only ended up with 36. And then Emperor's Children are a surprise to me personally, but that's a team's choice. It feels like more than a singles choice.
Oh man, I think Emperor's Children are top 3 army in the game. I think it's Orcs, Emperor's Children, and Space Marines. Personally, Emperor's Children are crazy fucking broken.
Emperor's Children are.
Yeah, I think Emperor's Children are like for my mileage the second best army in the game. I think it's Orcs, then Emperor's Children, then Space Marines. But
it's so interesting how much the community is lagging behind on that just a bit then.
Well, I agree, but I also think that some people are too much of a coward to play too much of a coward to still just play 3 Defiles and kill people. I think I was expecting personally to see more. I was expecting to see more Orcs, despite everything. I was expecting to see more, and I was not expecting to see as much Tyranids as people have brought. I think Tyranids are more represented than I thought they would be. There was a lot of sub-assault when I did not particularly like that army, but some people are braver than me.
It's okay. Some people are always going to be braver than UNS.
Yeah, I gave up on being brave at WTC. I'm just going to play the thing that wins for my team.
Fair. Gene Stealer Paul is up next. I changed my profile picture for you, Nathan. I appreciate it. I love that picture. It's great. Innis, how much trash and what trash should I put in a Biosanctic plus Xenocult list take and hold?
You should probably play like Tucker's list.
Fair.
So I think Tucker's list had 1 squad of bikes. It had a couple of 5-mans of Gene Stealers. It had a couple of like 2 5s of Flamer Acolytes. Maybe consider one of them being one of them was a Metamorph squad. I think it was 1 Metamorph, 2 Flamer squads, and you should, and then maybe like a 10 of Neophytes and a truck, and then play damage stuff after that.
Fair. And then the next question is from Ilpispi. Rejoined the Hive Mind. Innis, is this your first time as captain or second year? You don't seem stressed.
I've been captain of Team Scotland every year but the last year since 2000 and... so last year I wasn't captain, but I still ran most of the pre-event stuff on the gameplay side. So I was, I was gameplay lead last year. 2024 I was captain, which was the 3rd WTC. 2022 I was captain, which was the 2nd WTC. 2022, 23, 2024. So those 3 years of WTC I was captain. Last year I wasn't, but I was in-game lead. This year I'm captain again. And then I was captain for the 2 years during COVID as well. And then the year before that, I was not involved in the captaincy. And the year before that, I was vice captain. So of the 10 years I've been doing this, I've been in a captaincy spot 7 of the 10 years. or eight
So-
of the 9, 7 of the 9 years, something like that. I've done a lot of this.
Innes just doesn't look tired because he's been doing it so long, is what it is. Or stressed, rather. He does look tired.
I'm part of the firmament, boys. I'm not going anywhere.
Sean has the next question, which is: do you anticipate this to be a better or worse edition for playing old codexes than 9th? Seems to me that it's more likely that 10th to 11th philosophy is more compatible with 8th to 9th than with the
I
8th
missed
to
that
9th
entire
philosophy.
question.
I guess it's: do you anticipate this to be a better or worse edition for playing old codexes than 9th edition was?
I mean, for the time being, a lot of this edition's sins are last year's or last editions. So
Yep. It's a pretty easy transition. We didn't get indexed this edition, right? So,
but yeah, I think over the whole, like a lot of 10th edition design philosophies will continue to be strong because of the detachment system. It's just like, oh, if it's not good, you just print a 1 DP that supports it and then make it a 2, right? Like it's fine. It's much easier to update things in short term. Also, the balance updates are just much more frequent than they ever used to be. Like we used to get, one a year in 1 a year in 8th edition and 9th edition, right? And it's now much more frequent. So
next up is from Isaac. Spooky. Winged Demon Prince, #1 hater, I suppose. Otherwise, I don't know what WDP could stand for. Do you think Coven will still be pretty good, or are people fooling themselves?
Coven is still fine. It's still like aggressively okay. I just, it's not an exciting detachment. It's completely fine, but it's just that's all it is. If you are really invested in playing Thousand Suns, you can still play Coven. But if you're not really invested in playing Thousand Suns, you should probably look at something else for power level reasons.
Reasonable. Rickard has the next question, which is: I'm enjoying 11th edition, including dispositions and the map layouts. Am I the baddie?
Yes.
I think this edition's fine.
If you're playing Dawn of War and sweeping and you're not being like this fucking bullshit the entire time, you're the baddie.
That's more fair, I think. Ruben has the next question, which is: should we cap primary scoring to 12 points a turn or something around there?
I think 12 would probably be fine. I think making it just a little harder to score would be preferable to capping it, but
I think capping both primary and secondary at 12 points might be useful. Just
probably be fine. I don't love the idea of throwing away like half a card a bunch of times, being like, oh, I'm going to score this to make sure I hit my primary cap. Like I'm going to score this, 5-pointer for 2. That seems annoying to me, but also I don't think it's like the end of the world.
No, it does stop some of the really hefty late game scoring you see sometimes, though, I suppose. But there's also a lot of end game scoring that is not great for that swing. Seth, the Scrub Daddy, has our last question, which is: what percent of WTC lists do you think were YOLO'd at the last minute?
Fucking 73%-ish. I can tell you how many of ours were.
What percentage of yours were?
Yeah, I can tell you that. I'm going to go and look. 4. So 50%.
Nice. You know what? Just because that's the number, I'm going to go with 50% of all lists. All right.
Rickard, we all know you're a baddie. It's just not always 40k related.
It's true. All right. For Chaplain Grimaldus, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but we will have something out either this week or next week for the dashboard. We're doing a complete redesign for 11th edition, and it's just taking a little bit of time.
Cliff's a perfectionist.
Yep. Also that. That is it for questions. So I will move to Innes's favorite part of the show, which is the
call the high five. Let's go. Call it the high five. Everybody high five.
Yep. So if you join our most expensive tier, which is $15 a month, the crisp high five tier, you join the cult of the high five, and you get to customize a thank you message that we will read out at the end of every show, alongside some personal benefits, which you can collect at WTC if you see Innes. Are you trying to flex and dance your tattoo?
I'm just having my guy's going to dance while you're doing the thing. Yeah.
Go for it. Okay. Thank you to Christopher. I know I said I was looking forward to the year of WTC Chaos with the edition change, but damn, that was a lot, Irvine. Yeah. Thank you to Willow Weeks. Thank you to Dan F. Thank you to Luke Harridan singing the Subway McCarthy. Thank you to David Clark. Thank you to Just I Ear. Thank you to James H. Thank you to Colton. Dan F. Miller. Thank you to Fungus. Thank you to John V. Gang. 5 to filers is the objectively correct amount, and I will not hear different.
Agreed.
One.
5 is correct.
Thank you to Cam, F. Dan, Morton, Hogamoji. Thank you to Archon, Biblically Accurate, Eldar Player, Rahal. Thank you to Josiah Gettle. Thank you to Frankie. Thank you to Isaac tonight on Stat Check. Innes lost to me in Pokemon. Flew prepared to lose to me in Tacoma, and no one else bothered to show up. Trada. So old, Isaac. Thank you to Mwahaha, ha 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 ha. Land Speeders, Mwahaha, ha 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 ha. Thank you to Stephen. Purge the Foe #1 was a WTC PSYOP? Ross. Thank you to Tom, officially entering my Necromunda Dad era H just in time for more Necromunda sets. Thank you to Thanks Folks. Thank you to Hey Innes. Floof missed the GSC part, so we're just going to restart the show from the top.
No,
no, we're not doing that because Innes will be asleep within 5 minutes of the beginning of her show.
I have 2 coaching calls left tonight, Nathan.
Fuck. Thank you to Come With Me on a Gucci Adventure trademarked. Thank you to John Garza. Thank you to Henry. Penguins are actually closely related to the albatross, the wizard. Thank you to Penny the Penguin. Will be very sad if StatCheck ends. Please do not make Penny the Penguin sad. This is your Penguin fact. Thank you to Matthew, Pain Engine Aficionado. Still the best name on our Discord. Thank you to Vivian. No time for love, Dr. Jones. It's a great line. Thank you to I'd like to thank Nathan for planning to attend my Super Major the last weekend of August in Ottawa. All of you should too. Ask Rickard for details in the StatCheck Discord. I also think it's pinned or announced in our announcements and pin channel. Thank you to Alex.
Yeah, I'm gonna high-fiving with that high-five partner, and you're accepting it emotionally.
I am accepting it emotionally. Thank you to Alex, biblically accurate. Let's go emoji H, and then thank you to Luke. I've been told by GW I'm now a priority asset player, which I think is better for me. ? Gallo. You should always know that you are in fact the most priority of assets to somebody, but you should be at least for yourself.
KR, the slots at 1:30 a.m. and 2 a.m. are not the bargain slots. I promise you that.
Christ. And then, those are actually the premium slots because you have to pay to keep Innes awake. And then, Seth, if you have a problem with our Penguin facts, send better Penguin facts to Henry. Don't get on my case.
You can give us a Penguin fact. Come on. What are you doing? It's like you really
Seth,
even trying.
Seth, join the $15 a month tier. Pay the channel that you make content for $15 a month and give us Penguin facts or bird facts. There you go. Let's put that out there. All right. On that note, that's it. Thank you to the Cult of the High Five and everybody for watching, all 200 of you at this point who have stayed here for this. We love you all greatly.
Thanks so much for being with us, everybody. Enjoy. If you're at a tournament this weekend, kick some ass. If you're at WTC, Godspeed.
Bye-bye.